Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the weekly landscape update video that I do on my channel each Wednesday. This is a house I moved into in the late fall in Raleigh, North Carolina, Zone 7B, and I have been undergoing a radical re-landscaping of this space. There is a playlist on my channel called New House. I'll link it up above here if you're watching on YouTube, and you can go back and watch, I don't know how many videos are up there now, 26 or something in that playlist, and catch up. And the initial videos I did for this have the drone up above where I laid it out and that kind of thing. It might be helpful to understand going forward. Got a lot accomplished this past week. I did one more tilling on that new garden space over there, incorporating that compost into the ground. I've said several times I don't typically till, but initially I'm just trying to get the soil to wake up. I'm getting some of that compost tilled down in it, and then I put some like 3 more carts of compost over there, and so it's ready to go. I'm ready for tomatoes and peppers. I talked about last week, it's still too cold, and I'm standing out here right now. You see I have on shorts, but I have this jacket on. It's like a 20-25 mile an hour breeze out here, and about 37-38 degrees this morning. It is quite cold, and we had rain too. My hands are frozen here. So it's, again, still a little early on those peppers and tomatoes. But I think we have another round, like in the next 48 hours or so, where it's going to be below 40. After that, I think I'm going to go ahead and put those things in. But that space is prepped. I put a few strawberries in over here that I brought from the old house. They've been in a pot ever since. So once I finished prepping that area, the strawberries finally went in. I used the lettuce in the space where I had, if you followed along with these videos, I did the seed on the lettuce in the house. Brought it out here, planted it. I have it under this. People ask me about this netting every week. It's actually a 7-foot tall, a 7-foot deer net that I use as bird netting. Bird netting is always so flimsy and cheap and tears so easily. The 7-foot deer netting works the best, and that's a 100-foot roll. And I've been able to roll that thing back up over and over and over and over again, and reuse it. It's kind of expensive. I've got it in my Amazon store. If you're interested in it, it's not inexpensive. But it's again, it's one of those things you buy and then you don't have to rebuy. But anyway, if you have questions about that netting, that's actually what it is. It's actually a deer fence. But I used the weeding hoe in between those lettuce plants this week. I do have some weeds popping up as I'm overturning all of this soil all over the place. And here, obviously, weeds are going to pop up. And I just use this action hose. Some people call these action hose. Some people call them shuffle hose. Some people just call them weeding hose. But if you're unfamiliar with these, grab one of these. They're the best tool ever, especially in a garden where you don't have mulch. It just basically cuts the weed off. Sometimes the weed, I just leave them in place. I try to get them before they seed themselves. Sometimes they'll reattach themselves to the ground, but guess what? Guess what they get? A second dose the next week, and that takes care of them pretty quickly. But I can weed, you know, that space over there, that whole garden space might be, I don't know, 40 by 15 or something like that. I can weed that whole space with this thing in just a few minutes, literally just a few minutes. Okay, what's next? Over there, the potatoes are looking fantastic in the bags. I'm going to attach them to the fence as they continue to grow over there and see how long I can keep the best sun on them by allowing the foliage to stretch out and not start to flop over. As you can see behind me, those of you who've been following all along, the 90% of the painting is now done on the shed. I need to go over the white trim parts one more time. There's only one coat on there, and it sucked the paint up pretty quickly, but it looks great. Most of the, I'll show you what I'm going to do over here on this greenhouse in a minute. We'll move the camera over there, and I'm going to try to match this a little bit from one side of the yard to the other. A lot of plants went in this week, and that'll be the last thing I do in the video. I'll go through and show you what pieces that I put in the ground. The Japanese maple I put into one of the pots. There's a video from maybe a week and a half ago about pots and plantsbymail.com plants. The plants that went in the ground were from that video, and that's one of the containers that I got and unboxed in that video, or took off the pallet in that video right there. That had been in that other container for a while. It's not a big jump up in size container-wise. It's probably only about an inch or two wider, but it does allow me to put a little more soil in there. When I container plant trees and shrubs, I use pine bark mixed into the potting soil so that it creates a little bit of drainage. I don't want all potting soil on a tree like that. I need to fertilize it. I talked about the other day this tree being elevated off the ground so that it doesn't is not in direct contact with any problem, with any kind of fungal problem that could be transferred from the soil into that pot right there. The same thing on this one. Somebody pointed out that I didn't have it raised up, but I do. I actually have it sitting on a saucer back there. Just, you can't tell because I pulled the mulch up to the edge of the saucer, but it is elevated as well. And let's see. I'm going to move the camera. Let's move the camera over here and talk about this. My greenhouse, the plans on the greenhouse over here. I'll try to move it slowly. Okay, for those of you who watched last week, I took the skin off of this this metal shed that was here, and I've kind of figured out how it's going to look going forward. Inside the porch, I used cedar upright pieces and a white trim around it. I'm going to do this exact same thing from here down on this greenhouse. So I'm going to have vertical cedar boards right here and then a piece of white trim around it. From here going over the top is going to be a black shade cloth. I'm trying to order it. I tried to order it yesterday. But the frame will, in order, the frame will be painted black. The bottom of this it'll be wood from there down. It'll be shade cloth going over the top. The end wall right here will be cedar and then white trim as well. Exactly the same as on the porch up there. I'm going to paint the edge of it white. If I don't like the cedar, the exposed cedar, I may end up painting it this light blue color, which is, you know, how the shed is over there. I don't know, but anyway, I'm going to use these cedar fence boards, which are thin and light, to attach to this. It should look great when I'm done. These PVC pieces in here are my irrigation from the old propagation greenhouse at the old house. That stuff will be reassembled in here on the ground after all of these pieces go together. Obviously, it's got to be leveled as well. So, but all that'll take place in the next few weeks. You'll see this little basic metal frame become something I think it's going to look super, super nice back here. So I think that's it. I'm going to walk through, like I said, I'm going to walk through with the camera real quick and show you the things that I put in the ground since last week. I got permission from the neighbor to take this mulberry down, which is actually in their fence and is going to damage their fence in time. But the main reason I want it gone is because it just seeds itself absolutely everywhere. I know some people love to eat these things, but they are really obnoxious and just come up just everywhere. Everywhere those seeds land, you end up with new mulberry. So, and at the end of the day, it's just going to destroy their fence over there anyway. Here's Holly trying to get in on the action. This is a Juliet Claera that I've shown many times on the channel. Really beautiful variegated evergreen shrub. It'll end up, 6 feet high over here, or maybe even a little bit more. There's pots everywhere of annuals and perennials that I'm laying out that I've done from seed in the house. There's a Scent Amazing gardenia that went in this week that is budded up right there. It had some flowers on it already, but there's a couple flower buds right there. There's a David Viburnum right here that went in the ground. Like I said last week, I hadn't been able to plant anything near the house because the construction of this porch had been underway the whole time, and finally going to be able to do some things over here and put some containers out. And I've got lots of tomatoes and peppers and that kind of thing. I just pulled them out off the porch. Up here, this is still, there's more siding here. I've got to do siding the rest of the way around the house. I'm going to move that out to the driveway for next week, so that won't be in the backyard anymore. But that's what that is. It's just covered construction materials that for ongoing house projects. Put in this October Magic Orchid Camellia right there. That one will be nice in that space. And then this is these Leucanthemum. There's 4 of them here. There's 1 there and 3 right there. And there's a Sunshine Ligustrum that'll be just really just kept cone shaped in that space. This is the when I originally did this layout, this path comes off where this turf is and goes to the building right there. And then right here, it turns and goes to the gate over there. And finally, I'm planting both sides of it so it'll start to actually look like a path. It'll eventually be stone. These are all the annuals and perennials that I've been working on for the last few months. Some of it will be planted here. Some of it will go in the front yard, and some of it will be given to friends and that kind of thing. There's some of these all summer blooming perennials, like this salvia right here, that I will go through early in the season right here, and I'm going to keep taking some of these flowers off. I'd actually like for this plant to be putting its energy into putting on some growth rather than spending its time flowering. It's got all summer to flower. There's a Verbena bonnicearis. Sorry if you guys can hear this wind. It's just absolutely wild. That's about to flower right here. You can see that. I'm going to come down on this plant right here and take this one off pretty low, right about there. Okay, and then this thing's going to bloom all summer long. So I want to encourage all this foliage in here, and not have it putting its energy into these flowers right now. The lantana just won't matter. I can deadhead them if I wanted to, or not. It won't matter. That thing will bloom and grow. It's capable of doing both at the same time. The agapanthus that I've put in the ground, the ones that are finishing up here, I will take off. These are repeat blooming agapanthus varieties, and it's best to deadhead them like that. And then I got a new one coming there, new one coming there, and one that's about to open right there. But I just wanted to show you guys some of this. This is another salvia right here. I'm going to do the same thing on. I'm just going to keep deadheading it for a little while, or just keep taking the flowers off for a little while and let that plant get some size on it. I might do the same thing on this Veronica that I put in right here as well. This is one other project I started on this week, that I pulled this mulch back in this space right here and put some compost here, and I'm actually going to do some direct seeding of some pollinator mix and some perennials that and annuals that the bees and butterflies will like. There's going to be a couple spaces back here. It won't look so funny. It won't stand out so much once it's things are coming up in it, but I'm going to direct seed them into that compost. Let's see what else. Okay, so what went in? The Veronica right here, this dark moody blues Veronica. There's 3 of those. They'll bloom all summer long. And then right here, I put one of these solar flare azaleas. Right here, this is a solar glow. This is one of the native azaleas. It has orange flowers about this time of year. This one's obviously too small to flower this year, but it will next year. This is a Big Daddy hydrangea that I put in back here. Gets the gigantic flowers on it, and beautiful foliage. This is one of the best foliage varieties I think I've ever seen. It's always really that dark green, shiny color. Coming back this way, I put in this Pieris right here along the fence. You can see that right there. That's that mountain snow Pieris. I used one of them at the other house as well. Lots and lots of new growth on that one. Everything else that's gone in back here is looking pretty good. I had not shown this hosta right here that I got, this blue ivory hosta. I don't think you guys have seen it at all. I put it in one of the videos and just forgot it because it actually hadn't woken up. But again, I've got things laying all over the place. I'm just kind of trying out for a week or so. Here's this peach lantana right here. It's a Little Lucky Peach, and that one that I had shown you right there was Little Lucky Red. And I think that may be everything that I put in the ground this week. So mainly the only maintenance I'm doing at this point, because I've already fertilized, is, you know, if I needed to prune anything, I would be at this point if it's finished blooming. But, you know, all of these things, they're still compact. You know, they flowering or flowered, but I don't really need to do any pruning this year. I am pruning back summer flowering perennials a little bit that are trying to bloom a little bit too early so that they'll be fuller. I've got a few more agapanthus right here that same thing. I can take this this spent bloom off right there and right there, and then I got a new one that's coming up right there, and I'll keep those cleaned up. My Autumn Fire Encore Azalea is come back into bloom. This is the second time it's bloomed this year already, which is kind of unusual. I got it from Alabama in January and it was in bloom, and now it's April and it's doing it again. And that Autumn Lily right there, that white one, is also blooming. So thank you very much for following along with these Wednesday videos. Hopefully we'll have a ton more progress this next week to show you on next Wednesday. Thanks for watching.